My name's Ryan Jackson. I want to welcome everyone here to the Charlotte City Council chambers for our 8th Command College graduation. Today is a special occasion as we recognize 15 leaders representing different law enforcement agencies from different states. Each of these individuals spent the last 6 months being challenged both personally and professionally. At this time, if everyone will please rise and stand for our posting of our colors and singing of our national anthem.
Forward, mark, left, right, left, right, left, right, ready, mark. Hold. Breathe, on.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Over, on. Mark time, mark, left, right. Ready, start. Forward, mark, left, right. Left, right, left. Left, right.
Everyone can be seated. At this time, we would please welcome Chaplain Ron Coleman to bless us with an invocation.
So on behalf of all the other volunteer chaplains for CMPD, welcome. I got to meet a lot of you all from different states and different cities, so we're really proud of you all. So pray with me, will you? Almighty God, it was a special day when these men and women swore their oaths to serve and protect. And Lord, you have raised these leaders from among their ranks and have given them a special calling and charge to not just protect and serve, but to lead and command. The Command College graduation is another special day, and we thank you for it. Lord, police officers' days are filled with uncertainties and unknowns as they make quick and often life-changing or even life-threatening decisions. Help them to be wise and to involve all their training and experience before moving, speaking, and giving commands to those they lead and who will follow them. Guide them with their conscience and their code of conduct. Help them remember their protocol and give them the courage to do the next right thing for the best outcome for themselves, the officers they lead, and the civilians they serve. God, give them the perfect combination of both confidence and humility. Confidence without humility leads to brash leadership, which is weak. Humility without confidence leads to soft leadership, which is weak. God, make them secure in themselves and secure in their relationship with you so that they can have that balance of confidence and humility to be able to lead with both. Give them a heart of compassion to care for those who are in need. When they become emotionally drained, fill them with your presence. Be with their family and loved ones as they leave each day for roll call or wherever their duty takes them. May their loved ones know an extraordinary peace, knowing that you go with them as they walk out the door. Protect their marriages and their relationships with significant others, other family members and friends. And most importantly, may they and those they lead go home safely after each shift. In your great and awesome and holy name, together we say, amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Coleman. Now I'd like to invite our Chief of Police, Johnny Jennings, down to say a few words.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here. What a great day this is. I remember the earlier command colleges, we used to have graduation in a closet at the academy or something, didn't we? So here we are in the great chambers of the city government, Charlotte-Mecklenburg Government Center. Such an honor to be here before you today and speak and congratulate all of those who have spent the last 6 months to get to this point with Command College. I want to say that we have done such a great job over the years of identifying who the leaderships within our agencies are going to be, and being able to pick out those who are in the position, best position to take our agencies to another level. But there's so often over the years we've failed to properly give the tools and train for not just to be a law enforcement officer, but to take over leadership pertaining specifically to leading those men and women in blue. And in today's time, how difficult it is to know the importance that it takes to lead an organization and to lead our men and women into the right direction, and how important that is not only within our own agency, but public facing as well as for other agencies across the country. And we often say a lot, it's bigger than us. When you look at today's world, that something that can happen in California is going to affect each of our agencies over here in North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, wherever you might be from. And that just shows you how important it is that we have the best supervision possible within the ranks of all of our departments. So I'm proud to be able to showcase what we are doing here with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. And we knew, like I said, when we started this command college, it was bigger than us. And because it's bigger than us, we need to invite others to take part in what we're doing. And I think that we've evolved to where we are today, where we can nearly fill the chambers within the government center. And that makes me especially proud. So to all of the department heads who allowed their employees to come and take part in Command College, I thank you. To all of those who took part in Command College, I thank you for your commitment. 6 months is a pretty big commitment to ask for, but I hope that at the end of the day, it was well worth it for you, and that you take back what you've learned over the last 6 months. Make yourself better, make your agency better, and make this profession better. So thank you again, and God bless.
At this time, I'd like to invite Command College Class President, CMPD Lieutenant DeMarco Jeter, down to say a few words.
Good morning. I don't know what I've done over the past 6 months to have everybody so anxious to hear me speak, but I had several people ask me this morning, you ready? You ready? We're ready. We're ready. So here we go. I'd like to welcome all law enforcement agencies, the members, chiefs, and command, officers and civilians alike, both local and from afar. Welcome to our federal agencies, our members of federal government, the officials, again, that are local and from afar, and all the family and friends. As stated, I'm Lieutenant DeMarco Jeter of the great 008 Command College class. Some of you may also wonder how I became to be the one giving this speech today. Well, there are no Dominion voting machines at the Academy, no absentee ballots that I know of. But there definitely needs to be an investigation into this whole voting of class presidents process. I would not be long because when I thought back preparing for this speech of all the graduation ceremonies I've been a part of, both as a graduate and those that I've visited as a guest, I can't remember many valid points from any of those that gave speeches. And some of those hold great titles and are allegedly very prominent people. So I'll give a quick rundown of some of our experiences and the things we learned, and I'll be on out of your way. One of the first lessons or things we experienced was that of perspective. My locker in the locker room is very close to the restrooms, and I overheard one of my classmates speaking to a loved one about our high ropes experience. And the conversation went a little bit like this. Yes, it was scary. I was really, really high up on these ropes, and they were wet from the rain on the previous day. And we all had to move from one wooden square to the next smaller wooden square. It was very scary. But each time I would move to a smaller square, I felt better once I smelled the breath of the guy who was eating the dark chocolate peanut butter protein bar every morning. Just a little perspective for you. We learned of our history, both as a country and as law enforcement, both good and bad. We learned not to make the same mistakes of the past. We learned to remain open and learn and progress in the present. We learned to have succession planning in place, hopefully one better than that was left for us. We discussed decision-making, specifically the dichotomy of decision-making, and how we are to better our officers, our departments, and the communities in which we work. Humility. We examined ourselves deeply and the many things that we've had to overcome, both at home and at work. All in all, it has been a humbling experience, a fun experience, and definitely a learning experience. The most unique thing we learned is that each one of us has a little angry black woman inside. I'll let my class members explain that to you later. To those that lead their respective organizations, I ask of you to invest in the strength of your leaders and assist them in building on their weaknesses. And for the families at home, support them through the process. Thank you greatly to the previous Command College classes that came out to assist us, running up Bubba, running up the mountain, just in general. My back still hurts, so I'm just going to stop before I tear up. To the staff that led us, Officer Purdy, Captain Gallant, Captain Ford, Captain Helton, and Major Jackson, thank you all. Last but certainly not least, Officer Wayne Embry. We sincerely thank you, sir, for your drive and your dedication. It means more to us than you know. This has been the experience it has been because of you. That is it for me. Thank you greatly, sir.
Now I'd like to invite our guest speaker, who happens to have started Command College class number 8 on this journey as the executive sponsor for Command College for quite several years. Please welcome recently retired Deputy Chief Kurt Voorhees to say a few words.
Well, somewhere there's a zipper on this thing, and I'm going to get my speech out. There it is. I appreciate the introduction there, and I certainly appreciate the opportunity to come speak to you today. It's my honor, really, to be invited to be a part of this. I was fortunate enough to go through Command College number 1 that we started in 2015, and here we are, number 8. The unique thing about Class 1 was that we didn't have anybody else from outside agencies as a part of it. It was only CMPD, which is a great experience because we all work together, we all know each other, and we got to know each other better throughout the experience. But I think the secret sauce of this experience is to have agencies from other parts of the state and neighboring states and our federal agencies that are a part of it. So thank you for everybody, and especially for Chief Jennings to continue to support it. And this is the first time. We've had classmates from Virginia, both Carolinas, Georgia, and this is the first time we had an invitation go and be accepted to Tennessee, from Tennessee. So we had Knoxville with us, which is right near Chief Jennings' hometown. So that was a little gravy for that selection. So having been away from the profession for a few months, let me say, first, I just appreciate the jobs that you do. Leading people is a privilege, and my wish for Class 8 is that you continue to develop personally and professionally. I know it's been a long time, and you're glad it's probably coming to an end, although it's bittersweet. I have some thoughts about leadership. We heard leadership mentioned in the prayer and Lieutenant Jeter's remarks. And I think with most good ideas, you learn a lot from others, and you've probably heard some of these things before, but I just wanted to kind of hammer on some of the ones I think are important. I have a group of guys I meet on Sunday mornings before church, and we usually go for a run or a walk, and then we talk about leadership, and we cover books. And we've been doing this for about 5 years, and it's on a rotating basis where we lead a chapter at a time. So you go through some books and kind of do a deep dive into those lessons. And I'm the only person that was ever in law enforcement in this group. A lot of the folks were in business or different careers and whatnot, so it's kind of a unique thing. And I would encourage you to hang around people that aren't in law enforcement to get their perspective as well, because I think it enforces some of the things that you know, but from a different perspective. I'll reference anything that I talk about if there's a book or an author throughout my remarks. We heard it before. The first, and what many people think is the most important feature in a leader, is to be humble. Humble leaders have been found to listen more effectively, inspire teamwork, and focus everyone on organizational goals better than leaders who don't score high on humility. Humble leaders know they aren't the smartest in the room, but they don't have to be. Jocko Willink writes about humility in his book, Extreme Ownership, which I'm sure you covered some. For leaders, the humility to admit and own mistakes and develop a plan to overcome them is essential to success. The best leaders are not driven by ego or their personal agendas. They're simply focused on the mission and how best to accomplish it. So a leader can accept praise, but they should never believe it totally. We all have shortcomings, and if our ego isn't in check, we won't admit that we have those shortcomings. So as a second principle I'll mention is a leader needs people to tell them the truth. This is called candor, and it's a two-way street. You don't need somebody to agree with you all the time. You need somebody who's going to tell you the truth, and you need to demand that other people around you tell you the truth. And that helps combat your blind spots. A blind spot is a shortcoming that you can't see, but other people can. And this helps you become self-aware. And it's difficult to hear about your blind spots sometimes because you don't want to think that you have them. But it's sometimes difficult to hear about them because when they tell you your shortcomings, you know they're right most of the time. You've all heard about leaders needing to understand and explain the why behind decisions that they make. And you have to articulate what you're trying to convey when making the decisions. there's a book called The Q Source, and it's a leadership manual written by a guy named Dave Redding, who's a lawyer here in Charlotte. He tells the story. He was a captain in the Army on an A team at Fort Bragg, and one night there was a principal change, and a battalion commander called all the captains in to tell them about it. And this change was something about their philosophy of training or something, and none of the captains liked it, and they went outside right after being told, and they were complaining about it. And they didn't notice that the battalion commander had come out to go home and was listening to them complain. And one of the captains immediately recognized that and apologized and expected to get chewed out. The battalion commander said, "That's okay, men. It's a big change, and I don't expect anyone to like it. In fact, it's not my job to make you like it. It's my job to make you understand it. Does everyone understand it?" And they all nodded in agreement, and he walked away to his car and drove away. So make sure your people understand what you need them to do. They don't have to like it, but they need to understand it. So if you're going to remain humble and check your ego and tell the truth and demand to hear the hard truths from others and be articulate when communicating your message, you best not take things personally. There's a book called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, and the second agreement in that book is don't take things personally. So whatever happens around you, don't take it personally. Nothing other people do is because of you. It is because of themselves. Taking things personally makes you easy prey for predators. They can easily hook you with one little opinion and feed you whatever poison they want, and because you take it personally, you eat it up. And so you can remember the saying that when you lose your temper, you lose the argument. So I always find that in policing, remaining calm and not taking things personally is a superpower. And it's also good in your personal life. The next concept is from Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Leaders. It's seeking to understand before being understood. A leader must listen and consider all viewpoints before making, if they want to make a good decision. And working on this skill will make you more empathetic. Another tip, I think, is asking yourself, do you listen to understand or do you listen to respond? And I think a lot of times we listen to respond too frequently. I know I do. There's another book that I've enjoyed called The Way of the Shepherd. And if you were in our investigations, and I know some people are, we covered this book. And the first lesson of that is to know the condition of your flock. And so it's kind of an allegory about a shepherd and the flock and the sheep that you take care of. So even though your people are part of the same flock, they want to be treated as individuals. So it's your job to understand the condition of your flock each morning. And if you know your people's goals and passions and struggles, you'll know what motivates them, and you'll have a better flock. So if you want to be a good leader, make sure you know that you can check the condition of your flock. Another thing from the positive guru, author, speaker, John Gordon, we talk about is he talks about you get to versus the have to. So if you're in leadership, you don't have to lead, you get to, and it's a privilege. And thinking about things like working out, I have to go work out, or I have to go do this, or I have to go to a meeting, if you change your perspective and say that I get to, it really will be, it'll make you more positive, and that's what people want to do is follow positive leaders. So from meeting each other on day one of this experience, you've no doubt leaned on each other during PT or other tough class assignments. So this will bring me to my final point, relationships. Relationships in law enforcement should be made before the emergency. So if you know who your peers are in your surrounding counties and federal and local state agencies, and you get to know those people, much like we have relationships in this class because of this experience, those are the things that you should be seeking out so that when there is a crisis, you know who to call and what their experiences are and how they can help. And you should be that person too. What can I do to help our peers in the profession? It makes us all better without regard for credit. And I remember one particular unplanned critical incident in Charlotte. We worked all night, got home really early in the morning, and the first phone call that woke me up was from a neighboring sheriff who said, saw the news, what can I do to help? And that's kind of what you want to do in leadership, is have those peers that will help you. No matter how big or small your agency is, you're always going to need help. So with relationships, you have to develop trust. And when you think about trust, think about it like this sheet of paper. This is your trust. It's a nice clean sheet of paper, but if you do something that diminishes that trust, that's what it turns into. And no matter how much you try to make it right in the future, it's just never the same. So always remember, in relationships, you need to be trustworthy and build solid relationships. And this is true whether you're in uniform, personally, professionally, at home, or at work. So I'm going to tell you a quick story. There was a man in a cabin, and one day the Lord appeared to him, and he had a big boulder set out in front of his cabin. And the Lord said, I want you to push this rock. So every day, the man got up, and he started pushing the rock, and he pushed it every day. He did that day in till sundown and did it over and over again, loyally, faithfully pushing the rock. And one day he was like, the rock's never moved. He had some doubts. The devil appeared and said, why do you push this rock? It's never moved. Why don't you just give up? So he went back and asked the Lord, why should I push this rock every day? I haven't noticed anything. It hasn't moved one bit. And the Lord replied, I didn't ask you to move the rock. I asked you to push it. Your task was to push, and now you come to me, your strength spent, thinking you failed, ready to quit. But is this really so? Look at yourself. Your arms are strong and muscled, your back is broad, your hands are calloused. Through opposition, you've grown much, and your ability surpasses that which you used to have. Your calling was to be obedient and push, and this you have done. In the policing profession, we've been under the microscope for the last several years. Something that we do well, some heroic deed, gets a little blip on the news, and people move on. But if we do something that we make a mistake, then suddenly it'll go viral. Narratives emerge that cast aspersions on our profession. But I know that the institution of policing is in great hands because of experiences and the people that are in this room. I know that Class 8 will practice humility. I know that they'll graciously tell the truth and demand it from others. I know that they'll make your people understand. I know that you won't take things personally. I know that you'll seek to understand before being understood. I know that you'll know the condition of your flock. I know that you'll think you don't have to lead, you get to. I know that you'll build relationships and never break trust. You'll continue to set high standards and exceed them. You'll continue to hold your people accountable for those high standards. You'll continue to grow and learn and be the best you can be. And I look forward to hearing about your continued success. Keep pushing the rock. Congratulations on graduating from CMPD Command College 008, and thank you.
Thank you, Chief Voorhees, for all those words. At this time, we'll go ahead and start with recognition of the class graduation for the class. If Chief Jennings will join me on stage to go ahead and start. Our first graduate will be Lieutenant Michael Barrett Carter. Lieutenant Carter has worked for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for the past 22 years. Lieutenant Barrett Carter is currently assigned to the Metro Division where he supervises patrol operations. Next graduate is Lieutenant Jeffrey Brink. Lieutenant Brink has worked for the Columbia Police Department for the past 15 years. Lieutenant Brink currently is assigned to the North Region Patrol Lieutenant. First Sergeant Matthew Cape. First Sergeant Cape has worked for the North Carolina State Highway Patrol for the past 18 years. First Sergeant Cape currently is assigned to Troop 3, District C. Congratulations. Lieutenant David Georgian. Lieutenant Georgian has worked for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for the past 18 years. Lieutenant Georgian is currently assigned to the South Division where he oversees special operations. Lieutenant Chandler Cathy. Lieutenant Cathy has worked for the Monroe Police Department for the past 13 years. Lieutenant Cathy currently is assigned as a patrol lieutenant. Lieutenant Jonathan Chadwell. Lieutenant Chadwell has worked for the Knoxville Police Department for the past 21 years. Lieutenant Chadwell currently is assigned to the Field Operations over Community Engagement and Response Team. Lieutenant Jeffrey Harrison. Lieutenant Harrison has worked for the Charleston Police Department for the past 18 years. Lieutenant Harrison is currently assigned as a School Resource Officer Commander. Lieutenant DeMarco Jeter. Lieutenant Jeter has worked for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for the past 25 years. Lieutenant Jeter is currently assigned to the University City Division where he supervises patrol operations. Congratulations. Captain Carolyn Johnson. Captain Johnson has worked for the Watauga County Sheriff's Department for the past 17 years. Captain Johnson is currently assigned to investigations. Lieutenant David Miller. Lieutenant Miller has worked for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for the past 15 years. He is currently assigned as the Executive Officer to the Administrative Services Group Deputy Chief. Supervisory Senior Resident Agent Pearson. Bianca has worked for the Federal Bureau of Investigations for the past 10 years. She's currently assigned over the Hickory and Asheville offices. Lieutenant Jason Semenik. Lieutenant Semenik has worked for the Greenville, South Carolina Police Department for the past 14 years. He is currently assigned as a patrol lieutenant. Lieutenant Michael Smith. Lieutenant Smith has worked for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for the past 23 years. He is currently assigned to the North Division where he supervises special operations. Captain Adrian Walker. Captain Walker has worked for the Gastonia Police Department for the past 13 years. She is currently assigned to the East District. Lieutenant Jason Yardley. Lieutenant Yardley has worked for the Raleigh Police Department for the past 22 years. He is currently assigned as the training lieutenant. At this time, if all 15 of our Command College graduates could please stand and be recognized for this outstanding achievement. If we could also please recognize the Command College Training Committee. There's no way this would have taken place if not for all their hard work. But Officer Wayne Embry, Captains Mike Ford, Joan Gallant, and Jason Helton, if y'all please stand for a second and be recognized. So in closing, Chief Putney facilitated the development and institution of the first Command College in 2016. Before today, 98 leaders have graduated from this prestigious program from a multitude of different departments throughout 5 different states in the Southeast. The program was created to develop leaders and prepare them for the complex contemporary challenges through innovative techniques, superior education, research, and a network of professional partnerships. This program identifies emerging leaders from the rank of lieutenant and captain, and there is a competitive application process to be considered for Command College. Graduates in the 7 previous classes continue to be promoted to higher ranks within their respective departments, and I am confident this group of 15 will continue to rise higher. There have been many leadership lessons throughout this course. In a book, Chosen Suffering, written by highly successful wrestler and coach Tom Ryan, he states, "We should be kind and happy for others and show gratitude. We should focus on lifting rather than tearing down. It's not complicated, but we must fight the world's grip to keep a positive attitude. We grow one small step at a time. We make one simple decision to change one thing about us. Win that battle every day." As our newest Command College graduates, you're intimately familiar with the importance of taking care of each other and leading from where you are. One of the basic tenets of Command College is that the team can always go farther than any one individual can go by themselves. Continue to show gratitude and positive attitudes as you are in a position to make influential change on both your employees and your agencies. Thank you all for coming, and once again, congratulations to our 15 graduates.